Before we get started, I do want to recognize our sponsors. This has been a pretty successful program. We ended up with 10 supporting sponsors this year and 1 lead sponsor. Our lead sponsor is Mountain One Bank. You'll see them all here on the screen, but almost all of the companies that have sponsored have a representative here today. So when I read your name, would you just please raise your hand? So our lead sponsor is Mountain One Bank. I'm going to have them say something in a couple minutes. And then we have supporter sponsors Barrett Planning Group, Enbridge, Friendship Home, George Washington Toma TV and Appliance, Hollywood Agency, Manic Community Health, Mass General Brigham, Partnering for Performance, PR First, and Steinberg HR. So thank you all for your support of this program. We can't do these programs without you, so we really appreciate your support of this program. I'm going to do a quick introduction and bio of our moderator who's joining us today, Elena Kirkiles. She's been involved in the Chamber for a long time. She was the second woman chair on the Chamber board. She really, honestly, I think laid the foundation for a lot of women leaders in the region. She started at the WBC. She kicked up Athena PowerLink, which was a women's business program. We're really lucky to be able to be joined by her today to help us moderate this discussion with Abby. Abby is a really powerful presence, I think. Most people who know her know that. And I was really excited that she agreed to be our kickoff speaker for this year. So I'm not going to say too much more other than I want to hand the floor over to Carrie to give us a little bit from Mountain One and kind of why they're excited to support the program this year. And then I'm going to hand the floor over to the two of you to kick off this conversation and get to know you both better. Come on in. Come in, John. Hello. John.
Back door.
Hi, everybody. I'm Carrie Richards from Mountain One Bank. You might have seen us out in the community. We like to do a lot of community events as a community. We're in Rockland, Scituate, and Quincy, as well as the Berkshires. And we are so excited to be the lead sponsor for this event. We've been involved in the past, I believe, as maybe speakers, moderators.
Yeah.
But we love supporting all the chamber events. We love supporting women in leadership. So we love just giving back to the community. And yeah, thank you.
Great.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Perfect. And with that, I'm just going to kick us off. Let's have a conversation, have fun. We'll wrap up a little bit towards the end for some questions for Abby and Elena, and then we'll keep chatting for a little bit after that. The floor is yours.
Thank you for that very nice introduction. Wow, a lot of accolades there. Good morning, everybody. It's so nice to see you. So many familiar faces, some new faces, and when I say so many familiar faces, I'm going back probably 20 years with some of you, and I'm thrilled to be here. When the Chamber asked me if I would moderate this Women in Leadership panel, I said, yes, sure, of course. And I said, by the way, who's the speaker? Who will we feature in? And they said, Abby Parilla. And I was like, even better. So I'm thrilled to be here. It was such a great surprise to be able to do this with Abby. I've come to know Abby over the past 3 years. She is a dynamic, enthusiastic, character-driven individual in this community who's already made her impact. And I'm honored to be able to chat with her and have her tell us about her journey. So I do have note cards because there are certainly some things that I want to bring out in terms of you learning more about Abby as a woman in huge leadership on the South Shore. So a little bit about Abby is she has her MBA and her master's in HR management. Before joining the ARC, she served in roles of increasing responsibility, ultimately providing her expertise to Boston Children's Hospital. She worked in inpatient social services, so anybody from the hospital environment knows that that's a huge job, getting people comfortable, and especially in an environment that takes care of children. She worked for PepsiCo as part of their management team and had responsibilities for business development. She was Chief Operating Officer and Chief Program Officer for Massachusetts Aging Services Access Points. Say that 3 times when you have a list. She worked with Beth Israel Deaconess, providing operations management consulting services. In addition, she's a trained mediator, which if you've ever seen her in action, she knows she has that skill set to the nines. She's a proud member of Leadership South Shore's steering committee, for sure, and a newly elected director of the South Shore Chamber of Commerce. Yay! So, Abby's been part of the ARC team since 2017, serving in the role of Chief Operating Officer. And in 2022, she earned the position of Chief Executive Officer as she sits here before you today, bringing the organization, in my opinion, to new heights, for sure. So, Abby, I've read my bullet list, but, which is pretty, I'm going to have to go lie down now, which is pretty impressive, but I'd love for you to give us a brief overview through your eyes of your journey to this point, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, absolutely. First of all, I'm incredibly grateful that you're all here. I want to make sure I said hi to everyone and shook everyone's hand, but if I missed someone, I apologize. I'll get to do that later. Also, those of you that are standing, mi casa es tu casa. If you need a seat, don't be shy. Get a seat. We'll make room if we need to find you a seat. When someone on my team will bring you, I want everybody to be a seat. I want everyone to be comfortable. This is a conversation. Well, geez, my career has been multifaceted for sure, but I'm gonna start off by saying this, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you for having men in the audience, because I think often we see women in leadership and that men aren't welcome. You're so welcome, men. We will not be bashing you today. That's the second part of this.
Forever.
A really multifaceted career, I tell you. And like I was saying, I think what I want to start off with is if you think you've arrived, you haven't, right? We are constantly changing, evolving, growing. And I think that's what I can say to you sitting here in this enormous platform that I've been given as CEO of the ARC of the South Shore. I started my career wanting to be a teacher, and that's actually how I started, believe it or not, as an English teacher. I had the honor and pleasure of working in the Boston school system as a young person, and working in one particular high school that still, it invigorates me with great passion, the work that I did. It was Boston Arts Academy. It's the only school of visual and performing arts, and I was their outreach and community coordinator, as well as I taught English to prepare students to write their essays for college. And so that was what I wanted to do. I went to school to be a teacher. I want to make a difference in the world. I want to teach. I want to empower young people to achieve greater heights. And so then you hear about something called tenure, right? So until you have tenure, you do not make what you deserve as a teacher. They are so important, so critical to the success of our young people. So I had to make a really difficult decision at a young age and decide whether I would want to stay and achieve tenure. I was really passionate about what I was doing. Or if I was going to recalibrate, thinking about a 4-year-old child that I had at the time, who is now 26, and I was going to wait for this tenure, and I was a single mom. So today is about a conversation. I'm going to share a lot with you, personally and professionally, because I don't think there's a lot of difference in success. It works in parallel when it works well. And so I decided to switch career paths. So I was really good at business development, and I was great at marketing. When I got to Boston Arts Academy, I had, you have to audition to go to the school. So we were only getting about 100 students that would come in for 100 slots. And so you had to audition in either dance, theater, vocal music, instrumental music, or visual arts. And it's like, gosh, this is like the Fame High School. We want the best of the best. But pretty much if you applied when I got there, you got in. I said, this is just, well, by my second year, we had 400 students walking through that door. And some of them you've seen in movies. Some of them you've seen in shows like Ugly Betty. I mean, they've gone on to do great things. So really proud of what I did there. And then I realized, geez, I've got something with business development and marketing. I could do something here. And I pivoted and I went into business. Going into business, I think everything we do prepares us for the next thing. So really, I wanted to be a teacher, but I found this knack for business development and that relational ability to sell based on relationship. And I went into, many business development opportunities, eventually went on to PepsiCo as a key account manager. And I shared this journey because I say, again, if you think you arrived, you have not arrived. I remember getting my big job at PepsiCo as a key account manager. I had the company car, I had the company Amex. I'm like 30 something. You're going to know how old I am by the end of this. I'm like 30 something and I'm like passing the 3-figure salary. I had a red Prius. It was amazing. I was like, wow. And I'm like, this is so great. I'm traveling to Plano, Texas. I'm learning so much. I am making people rich, like double-digit growth. I'm expanding. I'm like, wow, amazing, amazing, amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, I was unhappy. I was unfulfilled. I was empty. And I don't know if any of you have ever felt that way in your career where the digits don't equal the happiness. But I was like, God, I got this little girl, single mom. And I'm like, what do I do? I'm so unhappy. So I had to make a decision in life. And I always believe life finds you. Life finds you. And careers are like jungle gyms. Dips and twists. I grew up in the 80s where it's supposed to be a career ladder. Absolutely not. Dips and twists and turns. So I told you, your career finds you. I really believe that. So somebody reached out to me. I speak Spanish. I'm a Puerto Rican American, born in Boston, first generation. And so I always like to give back. And someone said, we have these programs for elders. And it's really sad because there are a lot of Hispanics out there who aren't getting services because we don't have nurses who speak Spanish. And we don't have social workers that speak Spanish. And so they're not getting the services they need. And that was like a dagger in my heart. I was like, oh my God. I said, geez, I don't have the flexibility. I'm super busy. I was managing 30 managers across the Northeast region. I literally traveled all around to meet with people and have one-on-ones. So my team in the audience, we're really lucky. And then there wasn't this virtual platform, right? I actually went out and met with people. So anyway, I was like exhausted and very busy, but I wanted to, you have that burning desire to give back. I said, I could do weekends and I can get creative. So I started interpreting. And I'll tell you that something happened during those home visits. It's the magic that happens when you find your calling. Only the calling was half the salary. But calling was half the salary. Yeah, so I started interpreting with those social workers and wonderful programs, group adult foster care program, the adult foster care program. What did I tell you? Everything is a platform for the future. Today I have an adult foster care program here at the Arc of the South Shore, and I would have never known when I took that pay cut, 2008, that one day those skills would transfer here. So nothing happens by coincidence in our career. Everything is a building block for the future. So I'm going to fast forward. I have great success there because I took my business mind and my social service heart, and I took the pay cut. Ladies and gentlemen, I took the pay cut. And I've never been so happy because you figure it out. And I was there 6 months running incredible programs, and then the first 6 months, double-digit growth in all of my programs, a really happy staff, and lots of team building. That's all I did. I built culture and teams, and the money followed, and the growth followed, and the epiphanies happened. And my executive director asked me to join the senior leadership team after 6 months, and the money slowly came. Not quite to that extent. But it slowly came, and I had a seat at the table. And that was preparation. 11 years of advocacy, of fighting for elder rights, for making changes, for creating programs that are still in existence today. I'm really proud that I created the Boston Caregiver Support Program that's still in place today. And, throughout our talk today, you'll hear about changes in leadership. The boomers were leaving, and so a lot of changes happened there, and I had an exiting executive director, and you learn so many lessons in this process, and I was the one that was the chosen one. You should do it. You should go for it. And here's where you hear about my heart for the business and for people. And I was working with a CFO for X number of years at that time. She wanted the job more than I did. She had been there longer. And although I sit before you today saying I know I was more qualified to lead that organization maybe 8 years ago, I chose to leave and allow her to have her moment. And she did not get the job. It was critical when I saw what happened to that organization since that happened and what happened to my colleague at the time. I said, wow, I've got to do something around management consulting. So I started a little management consulting, side hustle, as you say. Well, it was pro bono. I wasn't getting paid. I was just helping people. I'm having coffee everywhere with people and giving back. Anyway, that was the beginning of my ability to realize how much I care about people, and how, when you invest in people, it yields results. Sure. And then because I made those changes, there are a lot of things in between, which I won't bore you with that. But that's all of those learnings, all of those pivots, all of those changes, all of that organizational dysfunction that I saw and changes in leadership prepared me for walking into the ARC with a newly created position in 2017. And when I walked in and I fell in love with this population, I was never the same in the best possible way. And I'm just going to leave it at that for right now.
Wow, you do an excellent job of interviewing yourself. Because those were some of my questions, but I told you, she's dynamic and she's extraordinary. And one of the questions I had really was this being in the not-for-profit sector, was it a calling for you? We can definitely see that the answer is yes. I do agree with you that life and career find their way to you, and I'm living proof because I wanted to be a surgeon, so here I am owning an insurance agency. What? Why would an insurance agency find me, or why would that be my calling? But it really wasn't about the insurance, it was about the clients. And so I completely understand what you're saying. So for you, it's about your clients, it's about the population you serve.
Absolutely.
And saying that, bless you. So much can be said about the impact of servant leadership, how it affects organizations. I think it's important for everybody to know that servant leadership is not just a buzzword. Leadership has become a buzzword. When I look at Abby and I watch the impact that she's had in her career, and now especially with the ARC, I can tell you she is a servant leader. And she encourages diversity of thought. She creates a culture of trust. She empowers others. She chooses ethics, inspires vision, and serves with humility. And those are all the touch points of servant leadership. There are many more, but those are some of the very important ones. Abby, along those lines, what has inspired you to be the leader that you are?
Well, there are a lot of ways to look at that. I would start with definitely my grandmother. My grandmother was the kindest human being you could ever meet. I mean, I tell you, she didn't have a bad bone in her body. She just loved everyone. She was so kind, and I knew at a young age, like, kindness matters. Kindness matters. It will always define me. But I would also say flawed leadership has shaped me. So put those two together. I've seen a lot of flawed leadership in my 20-year career. I keep saying 20, it's more like 22 years of doing this and seeing, what not to do, I think, are my greatest learnings. What not to do. And you can gain a lot from that. I mean, I talked to you, I wanted to say I started a consulting firm, but I was it was pro bono conversations with men and women that were struggling in the workplace. And I'm like, what is that about? What can we do when we can't just quit, right? When we can't just quit a job, but we're just unsatisfied, uninspired. And so those learnings have taught me a lot is, keeping kindness first. Kindness in the workplace matters. Everything else will fall into place. And, know your own personal value proposition. Like, what are your non-negotiables in the workplace? What can you tolerate? What can you tolerate? And when you witness flawed leadership, this is what I've done. You can't always leave. Build that list of positive attributes that get you through. You can always find something good about your supervisor or your coworker or whoever is causing you that agita every day, right? That'll get you through. some people have been doing this for many years, and you know when you can't do it anymore, and that's when it affects your human spirit. And then I say to people, it is time to go. But before that, try the list of positive attributes. It's helped me, and I've learned a lot from that. I use that every day to counsel, teach, and mentor others, and to lead this organization with a great deal of empathy, kindness, and strategic vision.
And I agree with you on that, Abby, because if you just decide to check out in the face of hardship, if you will, or a dysfunctional environment, your growth stops. I believe that. I think your growth stops. So working through it, plowing through it, you can always decide to leave later after you've given it your best shot, because some things are unfixable. But I like that it builds resiliency. And I think in leadership, you need to be resilient. I see so many people in this room that I know are resilient because I've been right by your side for many years doing the work. And so I admire that you worked through that. I guess what I want to ask you now is, what is it like for you moving from behind the scenes as Chief Operating Officer for a number of years to now being the public face of the ARC, representing the organization and moving it forward? Would you mind talking about that? I know there were 3 questions in one, but I think you can handle it.
No, sure. First of all, huge responsibility. I mean, for all of us, I mean, whether you're running your own business or you've been given this incredible platform, it's a huge responsibility. For me, I think about the parents that started the ARC in the 1950s. A group of parents came together because they were dissatisfied with subpar services being offered to individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, including autism. So huge responsibility. I stand on their shoulders every day, and I can't let them down. And these employees that pour their hearts and souls into the work they do. And these amazing individuals that I serve, because I serve them. We talk about how can I be of service? Simple ways. Thanking people, caring about people, walking a mile in their shoes. And so for me, representing this organization is that responsibility, but also the ability to use this platform to enhance our mission. So we've got this mission to empower individuals with IDD, including autism, to live their best lives in the community. So I had to do that not just in words, but in deeds. Like, what does that look like in a tangible way? And why this organization that's been around for 70 years is still not known in so many places. And so I'm expanding our footprint, just using this to better elevate our mission, who we are, what we do. I have this exciting campaign that I'm starting where we're putting the individuals first and in front of you. So you'll be seeing a lot of targeted marketing campaigns around our individuals, telling their story through, their own words, those that are able to communicate. And then I've got a larger platform that you can all help me with. And why I take this so seriously is it's not just the Arc of the South Shore. It's not just that $1 million donor. It's not just the employees or plugging deficits. It's helping me create an inclusive society where everyone feels like they belong. Because that's the work that is yet to be done in a meaningful way. There's still stigma around the population I serve, and get to know us. And I guess that's where I started my other campaign, which is Become a Friend of the Arcs. All right, here I am. I'm a new CEO. Use me to elevate whatever we've been doing it, right? And get more people interested in what we do. And you can become a friend in so many different ways. Come to our events, get to know our population. Help me create that inclusive society. If you see a parent struggling with a child that has IDD, including autism, say hi. That person who's bagging your groceries, that is a person with disabilities, how you doing? You can see them. You can see. So there's so much to this, and again, I don't want to continue interviewing myself, so I'll stop. But that is huge responsibility to give back and use all these learnings to elevate this organization, the employees that we support, and the individuals that we serve. And I say this all the time: our employees and those of you in the audience are definitely our superheroes, and our individuals are superstars, and that's where it's at.
So I do get to check off about 3 other questions, but I've got a better filler for this. Take a minute to talk about the ARC, because I'm not sure everybody in this room knows about the residential facilities,
Absolutely.
what you have. If you would just give us the structure of the ARC and the services you provide, not one of the questions I wrote, but as we talk about sort of this divine leadership, meant to be that you should fill people in on that, because I think that's important. Thank you.
Absolutely, really important. So there are many of us, and I have dear colleagues in the audience that also serve this population, so thank you. We do this together as community. I don't believe in competition. I believe that there's so much unmet need in the field of disability services that we can all do our part in that. And so the ARC of the South Shore serves the lifespan. We have an early intervention program for babies from birth to the age of 3 for anyone who has a developmental concern. We also have a self-funded autism resource center. We have 10 group homes throughout the South Shore. We have a day habilitation program for our more medically complex individuals. We have community-based day services programs for our more high-functioning individuals, and we work on life skills and job placement, social recreation, the full gamut in terms of services. We have a personal care attendant program, and we have an adult foster care program. And those programs can also serve people without IDD or autism. So we can go outside of catchment for those programs, you know. And I'm also looking at one of our greatest platforms now is meeting the unmet needs in terms of the autism turning 22 population. There is just so much need out there, and there's strength in collaboration. So I'm working on collaborations around that. I have a strategic vision to have our first autism group home solely. I mean, we serve autistic individuals in our group homes currently, but to really hone in on the more behavioral autistic population turning 22 to create that group home. So we have a myriad of programs that serve the lifespan, and like I like to say, we're only getting started because there is so much to do to meet that unmet need. So really, I want to diversify revenue streams through other programs and expanding our philanthropic reach, and just building an inclusive society.
This, right? This is the springboard that takes the ARC into the future. This is not a canned commentary, but when you hear about the diverse population that they're serving and the strategic vision, I think that speaks to leadership. When you find a need and you're able to fill it and you're able to empower people along the way and bring them with you. 10 group homes, it kind of takes my breath away just for 1 second, so that's a big deal. Yeah. How do you separate personal and professional, or do you? Dun, dun, dun.
Oh boy, where's my heckler in the audience? Geez, I don't. I think I think I said it earlier. I think they run parallel. I expect a lot from myself, and I give more than I expect, I think, both personally and professionally. I think we are who we are. You know, whenever we talk about what's your leadership style, you're probably the same personally as you are professionally. So I always say, check yourself.
Yeah.
You know, ask your husband, wife, or loved ones how you're acting at home. You're probably doing it in the workplace. But I don't think I differentiate that. I'm highly participative in terms of my management style, and I'm highly participative in my personal. I think I like to bring others along with me and bring out the best in people. And I don't think I could separate that.
That's okay. That's your servant leadership showing up. Okay. Time check. Little bit of a lightning round.
Oh boy, I need water for this one.
I thought I'd switch it up a little bit, right? With a little bit of a lightning round.
Because the coffee, you know, when you get that cotton mouth, my lips won't move, but my brain will be going.
All right, I'll give you a chance to hydrate.
All right.
And then please be thinking of your questions, because there's going to be a question and answer session. It can be about leadership, it can be about the ARC, it can be about anything that you want it to be about. Or you can share something that's meaningful to you or that's helped you in your leadership path as well. Okay, 3 best personality traits.
Okay, oh geez. Fearless, driven, and kind.
Boom. 1 area for growth for you.
Oh geez, I think I care too much what people think about me, and what people think about me is none of my business.
Raise your hand if you can relate. Goals, Abby. We've heard a lot of your goals, your strategic vision for the organization, but just goals, however you want to phrase that, put it out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think you heard a little bit about what I want to do for the ARC, but I mean, as a human being, as a woman in leadership, as a leader, I just want to be better every day. Do better, you know, climb, maintain, and be the best human being I can be. And that's a goal to aspire to because, you know, I talk about this process of continuous improvement in the workplace. It's continuous improvement of myself today. I sit before you as a 48-year-old woman who has done so many things, and I keep saying I'm only getting started because I'm never satisfied with just what is today. I want to be better every day, so that's the way I look at it.
That's great inspiration.
We now know how old you are.
I know, it slipped out. It slipped out. Never again. I'll be 48 forever, ladies and gentlemen.
And my goal is to go back to 48. Just saying.
It's all relative, right?
I talked about how I see your leadership style as being a servant leader. I've never heard you coin yourself as such, but I'd like to do that if you don't mind carrying that title. But define your leadership style from your perspective.
Yeah, I have thought about this a lot. I told you I have a highly participative management style. I bring others along with me. I'm big on consensus building, but I'm also big on empathetic leadership, walking a mile in others' shoes and understanding where they're coming from. It simply makes you better. It doesn't always mean you agree with where someone's coming from, but I can honestly say that I can relate to everyone's human experience. And I think that that's what I love most about my leadership style and what's made me successful. There are no egos in my leadership style. Like, it's pretty clear. Check your ego at the door. Come as you are, you know, be vulnerable, and I'll fill in the gaps. I want everyone to be successful. So I think it's that empathetic leadership.
Thank you. Power.
It's
It's lightning round, so I'm just throwing the word out.
What is it? What it means to me? It's your ability.
How you react to the word.
Yeah, it's your ability to be unafraid, and that's what builds confidence. That's power. We're all afraid to step into something new, to do something different. And it is being afraid that makes you confident, and that is powerful.
Wonderful. Passion.
People. I love people. I care about people. My passion is, that's why I'm so passionate about this population I serve. If I fall in love with you, I'm indebted to you because I want to do everything for you. So I've fallen in love with the ARC. Darn it. So,
Leading.
What was that?
Leading.
Leading.
What does that mean to you?
God.
Leading.
It's responsibility. Responsibility for others, and a huge responsibility to do the right thing and to be ethical. Leadership should be ethical.
You're so good on your feet, let me tell you that.
Especially when I'm sitting down, right?
Best leadership advice that you'd like to share?
Oh boy, I have one, and I didn't coin this. I heard it many years ago. I told you I used to work for PepsiCo, and I went to this conference. I didn't know you were going to ask me this, but I went to this conference, and there was a gentleman who was speaking about his story. Now, this was a gentleman, he was an immigrant from Mexico, who worked at the plant at Frito-Lay in Plano, Texas. And he was actually part of the cleaning crew. And this is a true story. You can look him up. He would always eat Fritos for lunch. And he would throw chili on the Fritos.
So good.
So, one of the VPs of this guy's like eating, everybody's like eating the Fritos with the chili. And they were like, what are you doing? He's like, this is so good, Fritos with chili. That created chili Fritos. It's a true story. So I have this man, he's speaking to us about, I was an immigrant, came here, I used to clean the floors at Frito, and then I created this. He became, anyway, the head of like diversity and inclusion. He was speaking to us, and he said, those of you that are sitting there, now mind you, I told you earlier, I was making all this money and making people double-digit growth, and I wasn't happy, and I'm sitting there, and he goes, remember this, your current position does not determine your future condition. You can change anything in life, a personal relationship, a job, a career path, because you deserve to be happy. I added that. But your current position does not determine your future condition by any means.
I like that. You've captured some of this, but I'm going to throw the word mission out there. I think we understand the ARC's mission, add to it if you will, or just talk about your personal mission in this leadership venue that we're all sitting in.
Really, my mission is how can I be of service, and I mean that. Like, how can I help others? How can I impart any words of wisdom, fill in the gaps, be of service. That's my mission in life. It's more than a job. It's more than sitting here before you today. That's what drives me every single day. How can I be of service?
And the last one, almost the last one, and remember this is a lightning round, just a quick jab, because you've told us a lot about the Arc of the South Shore, but what's your reaction when I say to you, the Arc of the South Shore?
One of the greatest loves of my life.
Wow. So, that's a great segue into the fact that we have so many not-for-profits on the South Shore that are worthy of recognition, support, moving forward. If you wouldn't mind, quickly, as we bring this open, we're going to open it up to questions and answers. Tell us about the Friend of the Arc campaign, what it's designed to do, what the rollout looks like. Just share some of that.
Sure. So it's really funny, when you get you get this opportunity, right, to reinvigorate an organization of this size, respect, and magnitude, and impact on people's lives every day. You wonder how you can keep things fresh. We all go through that, like everything. How can I keep things fresh in my personal life, in my professional life? So I just thought, there's no greater compliment in life to me than to be called a friend. Some of you in the audience are my friends. And I mean, when I call you a friend, it means something. So I was like, you know what? I don't have anything very special or outstanding to do besides serve. But my God, wouldn't it be nice to be called a friend of the arts and what that would mean? So I ran this by my development team. And where's my development team? Brenda and Elizabeth. And I just wanted to say, become a friend of the arcs and get to know us. Well, they created a logo. They created t-shirts, okay? Oh, look at this. I'm a friend of the arcs. It's like, and I said, wow, so that's the way I want people to get to know us, because they know about the ARC, but they don't necessarily know me and my platform for the future. So become a friend of the ARCs, volunteer, participate, help me, join me in this endeavor in any small or large way that you see fit. And let's create this inclusive society. Let's also, expand our philanthropic reach. So we've also added, I'm usually speaking standing up, so this is where I'm going to sit down again. And then we've created like sponsorship packages and opportunities to come to our events. And there's no greater honor than to be called a friend. So that's how it all started, and that's our Become a Friend of the Arts campaign.
Well, thank you, my friend, for that.
Thank you, my friend.
I had something, and it kind of just went out the door for a second, but it'll probably come back to me. Thank you for being so attentive, and I hope that, I know what it was. What haven't I asked you that I should have?
Oh, geez. Gosh, I don't know.
Maybe the audience will help
There
us.
you go.
All right. So questions?
I just want to look first. I believe everybody in this room is white, and I'm curious to know how you feel that affects any of our ability to be true leaders.
Oh, wow, what a question.
Great question.
Wow, what a question. I don't think it affects. I do want to be, I think what you see is what you get with me. I'm truth and candor here. I do think you have to be more deliberate about seeing diversity and making those deliberate attempts at making sure that diversity sits around the table. And listen, there's a lot of diversity of thought here, but you said white, right? By the EEOC standards, and we know what that is, the BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color, Hispanic, Native American, making a deliberate attempt to provide those leadership opportunities within your team. Not because they're necessarily diverse, but because they deserve it. So just being deliberate in your approach, and you can see color, and you can see race and sexual orientation, and you can see those things and embrace it. And I think that's what makes us more effective. But
Great question, great answer.
yeah, wow.
I saw some other hands up. Yes.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi. Being a servant leader, I think, can be very heavy emotionally, and I'd like to hear about ways that you take care of yourself.
Oh, that's a great question, Michelle. Michelle does this great work with me. She is amazing. Thank you for being here. You have to pour back into yourself. You really, really do. When you give a lot in these roles, and by the way, you all do, because we are all the CEOs of our own life, right? Seriously. I do a lot of motivational, inspirational reading, podcasting. I have the best mentors in the world because they're all famous. Like, I wake up in the morning, ask my team, I'm not making this up, I wake up at 5 a.m., 5:30 at the latest, and I listen to Mel Robbins. I listen to Jay Shetty, who I've just recently discovered. He's really good. And I listen to Abraham Hicks. And my faith is my faith. I believe in God, and that drives me very much in everything I do. So I pour back into myself. Tons of reading, tons of books, a lot of motivation for myself. I love spending time with family, and that's a great thing. So I do a lot of hosting. I know it's more work, but I just love it. Do what you love, and that's how you pour back into yourself. So I tell my team, like, on Fridays, like, take the next 2 days off and do something good for yourself. I try to do something good I'm very good to myself. Yeah.
Nice.
Christy.
Hi.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Please, go ahead.
I just wanted to make a comment about Abby, which is I don't know how difficult it's been for you as a woman in power and in leadership and things like that, but I just want to say Abby makes the path easier for women. I'm in my 30s. She has made the path easier for me. She is truly fearless, and she inspires me to be fearless. Like, I've talked to her before, and she really does give free pro bono and she'll give you chocolate. And she just, a lot of people might see somebody who's young or something like that. Abby looks at me, she listens to me, and she's like, here's what you need, here's how you're gonna get it. It's like age is not a thing with her, and I just wanted to thank you for that. Yeah, you're amazing.
Thank you.
That's a very nice comment. There was someone back there. Hi.
Hi. So
Sorry to point.
It's okay. So your comment actually tied really well into my question. I wanted to kind of bring up, this is the women of the leadership, right? So your role as a woman, kind of where you felt like that helped in your journey and was a strength in your journey, and maybe an example of where it might have been a challenge.
Wow, these are great questions. Where being a woman was a strength, let's start with that. Believe it or not, I did some research for something else I'm doing in a couple of weeks. It's like there's still not as many women CEOs. It's just crazy to me. By the way, you're all diverse because women fall into a marginalized group. Who knew, right? Just even being a CEO for women, we're still below. We're below in pay, they say. And so it's very interesting. I think I've never looked at myself, not even from the diversity lens of being a Hispanic woman, or being a woman at the table, but I'll tell you where it helped me. So when I started in management, it was hilarious when I made that change, or let's use the great pandemic work, the pivot, into going into business development. God, I was teaching men in their 60s, they were like my dad's age at the time, how to do relationship selling, and they were not happy about it. They were like, what the heck does this young 30-year-old or whatever I was at the time know about selling? It was tough. It was really, really tough. But when you break through, like I told you, confidence doesn't come because you believe it. It comes from the challenges you overcome. I would say a year into working with these gentlemen, they were like, I'm selling more. And I'm like, why do you think that is? I don't know, because I did what you told me and I was nice to people. But it strengthened me there because it was like, being a woman, they looked at things with a softer approach, and it was that relationship sell. You were selling X amount, but now you changed and you added this, and it really does work. And then what was the second part? Where was it a challenge to be a woman? sometimes, and take this woman in the best possible way in which I'm delivering it. In my career, the biggest challenges have been with other women. So I want to be the person that's not that woman. I uplift women, I love women, I believe in women, I empower women. Be that woman. Because I've experienced that, so go figure. I've been more supported by men in my career than I have by women. It pains me to say that, but it's the truth.
Yep. I think so many of us can probably speak to that, and the people in this room who have experienced it will probably never do it to another woman, because you're here and you're concerned and you're listening. But I don't want to give my age away.
Well, be careful, because it slips out.
Just add a couple of decades to what she said, and we're there. And so I experienced both of those very positively, great dynamic, and then also with a lot of difficulty, especially in the early years when my employees were Teamsters Local 25 and my plant workers were AFL-CIO. So if that doesn't build resilience, I'm not sure what does. It's still here, I think, but it's dissipating. 25 years ago, we started the Women's Business Connection. I'm one of the co-founders for the South Shore Chamber, and our goal was to make it obsolete. And in essence, it did become obsolete because we started having gender diversity coming to a lot of our events. Similar to what you said about this, women in leadership, first of all, in nonprofits, you see a plethora of women over men. So there's that. But there's also, hey, can we come too? And when you work with this woman, when you watch this woman, this is somebody you want to be in the audience for, because she's got an extraordinary message and an extraordinary heart. And I think you all see that. And so I think, do we have a few more minutes, or what would you like, Courtney, at this point? More questions? Are there any more questions?
We could do
yes,
2 more
Becky.
minutes, and then I think we can leave it for a little
Yes.
coffee if people want.
I want to know a little bit more about your daughter, and if kind of the work that you do has kind of impacted her in the way that she may approach the community.
That is so nice. Thank you for asking me about my daughter, one of the greatest loves of my life, my one and only. Her name is Natalie Alexa. She'll be 26 in May. She is wrapping up her, I think she followed me in a lot of ways. My undergraduate is in English. She's an English major. Got me with her. So she followed me in that way. She'll be wrapping up at UMass Boston. I shared. I raised her alone. I think I did a great job. She's got a tremendous heart for human service as well. So, she says to me, "Mommy, I want to be just like you." And I'm like, "Oh, that's so scary." But that is so amazing. And that's why I thank you for asking me, because she says I'm her role model. And I think for all of us who are moms, that's the greatest honor. So thank you for asking me about Natalie.
Well, Abby, I can say, tagging on to that, so many of us want to be just like you. Thank you. It's true. Thank you for taking this time. Thank you for sharing with us. I'd like to give... Yeah.
If we want to just hang out, and if people would just want to chat for a little bit longer, I think we just want to give them the room back by 10:30.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Question?
You mentioned you love the yacht club you have. What you're doing is phenomenal. I think everybody in the room now wants to become a friend of the yacht. How do they do that, and are there any events coming up that we can include?
Sure, I'm going to turn it over to my dynamic development team. But yeah, it's very easy to become a friend of the art. Just tell me, and we'll tell you about the events that are coming up. Elizabeth or Brenda?
So April 7th, we have a button bash coming up with, in conjunction with the Derby Street Shops. So if anybody wants to register their family to join us, we'd love to have you.
Pictures with the Easter Bunny. That'll be fun.
Anything. We also have race numbers for the Fallinsburg race. If anybody's interested, you can go on our website. And our annual gala is coming up June 22nd, our summer soiree, which is over in our North Weymouth location on the water, beautiful evening. So we'd love to have you join us. If you want information about becoming a friend, just go to our website and send us a message, or you can reach out to me directly. I can give you my card before you leave.
Yeah, that's great. And you know what? I know we're ending. I just want to leave you with 4 things. Because I thought, you know, I'll leave you with 4 things before I leave this stage. No, really. And I said, you know, what does leadership mean to me, and what can I impart on these amazing people that came to spend time with me today? And I'm going to share my 4 H's with you, and I'll leave you with that because they've changed my life. So I remember interviewing for this job, and I shared my 4 H's, and my predecessor, Daryl Cook, for those of you who knew it, were like, are you for real? But the 4 H's, I think, for the type of leadership style I have, that I think that would bode you well. So, honor, lead with integrity. Heart, care about people. Humility, admit when you're wrong. And humor, because you have to have fun. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.